RG35XX was one of my favourite retro gaming handhelds of 2023, and a handheld that I recommended to a lot of friends and family because it did what it was meant to do really well, and it was a great price. And one of my favourite things was how it focused on knowing what it could do best, up to PlayStation 1 emulation. So when the RG35XX Plus got announced, that could give us also Dreamcast and Nintendo DS emulation, I wasn't really sold. However, since using an RG35XX Plus, my mind has changed. I am converted, and the 35XX Plus is not only the best version of the 35XX, but it's also a huge improvement over the original 35XX. Now, in terms of look and physical features, the 35XX and the 35XX Plus are absolutely identical, so there's no real point going into that. We already covered all that in the 35XX review, so there's nothing more to add, and the same goes in terms of pocketability and how great this is as an on-the-go console or a console to put in your pocket. The 35XX and the Plus are both brilliant when it comes to that, and really are the epitome of a handheld gaming console. But once you delve in deeper to the 35XX Plus and go beyond the externals, that's when you start to see the differences. The 35XX Plus comes with a H700 quad-core A53 processor and a Mali G31 GPU, as well as bumping up the RAM from 256 DDR3 all the way up to 1GB LPDDR4. This is quite a significant jump up and takes the abilities of the Plus way beyond just the PlayStation 1, which is where we see the added coverage for the N64, Dreamcast, DS and the PSP as well. But on top of that, it also enables it to run RetroArch, or as someone commented, it should be called RetroArch, but I prefer saying RetroArch. And rounding that all off, we also got an improved battery which jumps up the usage from 6 hours to 8 hours, something that is essential for a portable console. Now, having N64, Dreamcast, DS and PSP added in there is a really nice addition. You could say it's overkill for a console like this, especially with the screen not being perfect for PSP games, and it also not having analog sticks, which means that some games, especially Dreamcast ones, can struggle. For example, when I started playing Daytona, the console wasn't initially set up to actually play the game, which means you couldn't control the car because it was looking for analog sticks. So from the outset, it looked like my concerns were valid in the fact that the RG35XX Plus was trying to shoot further than it could achieve. Not due to internal limitations, but due to the limitations of the physical design and style of console that it is. However, the more I looked, the more I dived in, the more I found what the 35XX Plus really has on offer and can give. Now, the emulation itself of Dreamcast, N64, PSP and DS was really good. Like I said, there were some control issues because you didn't have access to all the types of controls you would need, but there were workarounds for that. You could remap the controls to work however you wanted, and to be honest, most games worked really well. But the thing that I really liked, I really enjoyed, and I spent most of my time with was playing around in RetroArch. For one, you get two different types of emulators that you can use. You can use the standard built-in ones for PS1, or you can use the RetroArch ones, which give you slightly different performance. But the best thing for me was realizing that the 35XX Plus actually gave you access to a lot more consoles than just the higher end ones that we've just talked about. With my favorite revelation being, and the thing I spent most of my time doing, playing Virtual Boy games on the RG35XX Plus. You see, having the addition of RetroArch also included a bunch of extra emulators as well, including the Virtual Boy one. And initially I dived in just purely out of curiosity to see what it would be like. I found myself spending so much time playing Virtual Boy games for the first time ever and thoroughly enjoying them in what felt like games that perfectly fit on a handheld like this. I know Virtual Boy games were designed to be played in a virtual reality sense, but the simplicity of the games and the monochromatic look as well just worked perfectly on a device that looks like the Game Boy. Now yes, the Virtual Boy itself is not that hard a console to emulate and might not be making the best use of the extra power of the 35XX Plus, but the fact that the 35XX Plus can give us so much extra in terms of using RetroArch, it just gives us a whole new world of emulators that we can access, ones that the 35XX couldn't access. And for me, that's what makes the 35XX Plus a huge improvement over the original 35XX. And not just a gimmick and trying to cram in a few extra more higher powered consoles on the end. The Plus really takes the 35XX to a new level and gives it access to so many more games and emulators, which makes it a much more well-rounded retro gaming handheld console. And having the ability to play games from the Dreamcast, N64, DS and PSP generation emulation as well is a nice addition. Like I said, you will have some issues with some games where the controller mapping just isn't ideal, and you could say in some respects that the 35XX has lost a little bit of its laser-sighted focus, but I believe the extra it gives you outweighs that. And for the cost of the 35XX Plus, considering it still is budget, it makes it a fantastic option and probably one of the best entry-level retro gaming handhelds you can get. If you want to get your hands on one, links will be in the description below, but if you want to check how it compares like for like against the 35XX for PS1 emulation, check out this video right here.